I'm actually excited that my addiction is next to me for the rest of my life because it took me to the depths of darkness. Your demons are only demons until you release them. Then they grow wings and fly and become angels. Now I'm going to show my addiction. You took me there. Now watch where I take you with it. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's just all perspective.
You took me into the darkest depths of hell. I'm going to take you to the highest peaks in heaven, motherfucker.
Yeah, and I'm going to use you to actually help other people get out. If you think about it, I believe that addicts are chosen. We're not forsaken, and this is why I believe it. If you think about it, if I'm God, who better than an addict to pick to worship you? Who better than an addict? We know how to bow down to something.
Yeah.
We know how to give our power away to something. So maybe since the get-go, we were created for success, but the devil made us think that we were cursed by having us be with him, but we were just 00 agents.
Dude,
God was just throwing us in the darkness so we could see the path in the dark, so when we get to the light, we could find ourselves back in the darkness in the form of you, or you, or you, and then pull you out. We're warriors. Warriors, spirituality to me is like, I'm praying because I don't want to go back to hell. Religious people pray because they don't want to go to hell. They're afraid to actually take that. So we're the warriors that been in hell, that pray that we don't want to go back, but God allows us to go back to bring more out. It's a blessing that I was an addict for 20 years. It's everything I've been through has been a blessing. Yeah. Because once your eyes are revealed and that veil is pulled back, I'm looking at my active addiction and I'm seeing nothing but blessing after blessing. When I thought I was forsaken, when I thought God wasn't with me, when I thought I was cursed, I'm able to look back, I should have been dead there. That shouldn't have happened. Blessing. So he's always been with me. So now I don't have to be afraid of everything. And the Bible says 365 times, no coincidence, do not be afraid.
Yeah.
365 times.
That's every day. That's one for every day of the year.
Except for the leap year, which was this year.
That's the only day you need to be afraid is February 29th.
every 4 years, prepare yourself.
It's a one day. You get one fucking day to be afraid.
Stay the fuck home.
Seriously, I agree with you so much because if you really look at any person that is of success, you know, that we think of on famous or whatever, we've talked about it before, where it's like they were previous addicts. And now if you let us off our leashes and we're spun in the correct, my husband called me a tornado, as long as I'm like, you know, pointed in the right direction, I can light up a city or I can tear it down. So once you let the addict go, we're unstoppable.
You ever hear what Bill Gates said about addicts? He said if people ran their businesses like addicts run their addiction, they'll be very successful. Because of all the compromises and sacrifices we're willing to make for the drug. If people were willing to do that much for their business, they would be highly successful.
Yeah. So true.
I agree. I want to ask you something. You're involved on a daily basis with tragedy.
Yeah.
With death, despair, mothers that have paid the ultimate sacrifice, the loss of a loved one, loss of a child. What do you tell them? How do you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How do you talk to them? How do you make them feel there's hope? I know it's God related, but you know, take me through that.
I basically let them know that no one's going to forget that their child existed. And that my recovery, the reason I won't pick up today is because you lost your child. A lot of times the best thing that you could say in that moment is just that try to get them to understand maybe a little bit of who I am as a person rather than want to talk about their kids. You know what I'm saying? I've been given the opportunity to have a lot of family members reach out and have the great honor of being able to be told by them, thank you for letting me know my child more. Because like you said, we should have a recovering out loud for the family members so they can understand addiction. My videos, by the grace of God, has allowed them to understand more. But at the end of the day, I just ask them what their child's name is and just know that's another name on the scroll of my heart, that when I feel like giving up, that name is going to be why I get up.
That's powerful.
Yeah, I love that.
That's good stuff.
That is.
That's good stuff. And I'll tell you what I want to do before you leave here. I want to make a commercial, Recover Out Loud for parents.
Okay.
And I want to put a number down there, and I want to have these parents call in. If you're suffering, if you're a loved one, if you've lost a child, call us. We can help these people.
Yeah, 100%. I believe we could help everyone because of the struggle becomes admired when you overcome it.
Yes.
So because of Jesus Christ and God's graces, the last year and a half, I was the first addict to ever present at a DEA summit, Homeland Security, Customs and Border Control, CIA, HIDA, multiple friggin' letters of recognition from state senators. And all of that is because I was an addict of 20 years and I found a way to overcome it. So whatever pain you're going through, if you find a way to overcome it, you will be admired. You won't be judged on what you did while you were in that pain. You will actually get admired for overcoming it and what you're doing to actually sustain the life that you're living. So I think everybody with pain should reach out to the Hopeaholics.
You know, there's 50 reasons why life sucks. There's 50 reasons why life sucks. I could write them down on the wall, and it's like, yep, and they're undeniable. They are undeniable, and you can't argue with them. There's 50 reasons why it totally is just a big pile of crap. There's also 50 reasons why life is beautiful and amazing and brilliant and awesome. The buzzard and the hummingbird both fly over the same field every day, and they both find exactly what they're looking for. The hummingbird finds flowers. The buzzard finds carcasses. What are we looking at?
Totally.
What are we looking at? Are we looking at the negatives?
That's totally.
Are we looking at the positives?
Yep.
It's our choice. But when we have shame and guilt and fear and insecurities and trauma and pain and all this stuff inside of us from being hurt in life, we can't see no flowers. We can't see nothing. That's why the process of change, recovery, I like to think that recovery, we're recovering something. You know what we're recovering? Our spirit.
Yeah.
We're recovering our spirit of joy, of love, of happiness, of fellowship. That's what we're recovering. You know, we're not just, we're not terminally broken. People are powerful. You know, we're human beings. We're extraordinary. We're masterpieces. You know, we really are. We could do so much. I know that was a little long rant.
No, I love it. No, but it's so true because it is. It's your perspective. It's like when you walk into a room, do you want to be giving or do you want to be an energy suck? Because, you know, like sometimes there's people that you encounter and all it is like complaining about this, complaining about that, complaining, you know, where somebody else can look at that individual that's complaining about X, Y, and Z and would die for their life.
Oh my! Okay.
Die for it.
This is humongous. I talk to these centers, and I go to a place, and I talk, and I go, "You guys sitting in detox right now, you have no idea what people would do to be you. You have no idea. Like, oh, you don't have a home, you're kicking fentanyl, you're freaking like, you know, you don't know where you're gonna go, you have no money.
Yeah.
Okay, I go. People would literally chop their left arm off to be you. You don't understand. They're like, huh? And I've used that thing, but I'd go back into the prisons one time, right? So I go back into a Chino prison on the East Yard, a place that I lived and was very crazy in. And now I'm going back in the gates.
Yeah.
I mean, on the yard. And I'm like, I was in that building. Oh, we got that guy. You know, I mean, just craziness. But I'm going in with a complete different perception. And I go in there and I carry this message to these guys, and they're like, I got to stand an ovation. They're like super stoked. I'm like, yeah, we could change. And then I tell this one guy afterwards, he's doing a double life. You know, he's never getting out of prison. I told him, I go, you know, I use this analogy that people would do anything to be where they're sitting. And I go, if I told you right now, you can walk out that gate with me right now and walk out and be a free man. But the only requirement would be I need to take your left arm. You know what the guy responded to me with? You want a foot too?
Yeah.
We don't recognize how blessed we really are. We are blessed beyond belief. And the only reason, did you know that life is amazing and beautiful and wonderful and full of opportunity and growth for everybody?
Yeah.
But the problem is you can't see it. Most people can't see it because of why? Because we've been hurt. And the hurt is sitting inside of us. And it's compelling us to do something about the hurt. And then when we experience drugs and alcohol and all these substances, we find out the hurt doesn't feel so bad with that stuff.
Sure.
And then it's a two-edged sword. It starts destroying because we're not able to get to our core issues. We're not able to get to the real inner work because we're putting Band-Aids on it. We're putting substances on it. But then you take all that away. I like this, that song by Kurt Cobain, it's a Nirvana. Come as you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Come as you are. As you are. Come to program. Come to rehab. Come to
that's
therapy.
how church is technically how it was supposed to be as well. Come as you are.
As you are, as broken, as messed up,
Yes.
as screwed up, as lost, as confused. Come as you are. You come as you are. You present yourself to life, to help, to people as you are.
And I think that's like the one thing that prevents people from getting well. It's giving in to the inner child that's still out of control.
It reminds me of, do you guys remember Willy Wonka and the girl that I wanted to know, Daddy, and eats the grape, and then what happens?
I don't remember.
You don't?
No. Huh?
Well, yeah, exactly, the blueberry, and then she literally eats it, and then basically winds up, gets fat and blows up, and then she pops, right?
Because of a blueberry?
Yeah, because she wasn't supposed to eat it.
Oh.
Willy Wonka said no. And because they're in the chocolate factory, and he's like, no. And then she's a little brat and said, like you're saying, your inner 4-year-old child is speaking out at you. And she's like, but I wanted to know, Tati. And then eats it. And then look what happened. She died.
It's not a matter of should. I don't want people to hear this, although people often tell me I'm the voice in their head, helping them do the right
because
thing.
people need to learn how to grow up. And if you want to get well, then you got to do the hard shit. And sometimes that's difficult to hear and listen to. And it's like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. No, you need to do this. You need to be disciplined. We are in 2024. This is a new year. And if you want to be a new year, new me, little meme, then buckle up.
So let's soften that just a little bit to I have my patients replace should. I should do this. I must do this. I have to do this. I ought to do this with I want to do this, or it fits my goals,
or I get
to do this, or I get to do this. But it's away from the negative motivation to the positive motivation, because going back to what do I really want? I want to be in the same size jeans I was when I was in high school. I like that. And yes, it's totally vain, but it's a symbol of I'm in control of my body rather than my child is in control of my mind.
Or how about I want to wake up feeling good. I want to wake up not feeling depressed or have anxiety or feel crippled. It's like, yeah, well, you need to do some stuff that you don't want to do.
And you're capable of doing it. And you could keep going, and it's cool. Like what you were just saying, like another thing too, is like, be aware of who you're talking to and who you let in your circle. Cause people are going to want to see you fail, and people break you down. And you like something I always loved about like Conor McGregor, like he seems super cocky, but the guy believed in himself, and that self-belief to me was always so inspiring. Like he would say exactly what he was going to do. And it wasn't, I don't think people realize like he wasn't trying to be cocky. Like he's saying that out loud because he's putting that energy out there and he believes in himself. And I would do that like in the sauna at night. Like, where do I want to be in a year from now? Or where do I want to be next month? What do I want to do? Dude, I would have to say it out loud, because if I didn't, like I could bury that thought. Like I never said it out loud. So I'm not disappointing myself when I didn't execute. And I started like verbalizing my thoughts, and whether I was alone or with my wife or whatever, I'm in the sauna, by verbalizing them, I'm hearing myself, and I'm like, I can't let myself down. It's like that little thing of like those little things, those little tasks you build up. You could skip doing them and people won't know, but you will. And then you got to live with that. And when you let yourself down, you're losing respect for yourself. Like you're depreciating who you are. Like, don't let yourself down, because if you're letting yourself down, you're going to let your kids down. You're going to let your wife down. You're going to let your friends down. And that's what I love. Like, that's really where the fitness thing for me is. Like, I talk to these guys and they're just kind of lost. And and girls, like, and like a lot of my clients, really just like bringing structure into their lives and putting that confidence back in them and instilling like, dude, you're not alone. Like no one's alone.
We all feel that way.
Yeah.
Totally.
I
all
feel that
feel
way.
that way.
You know,
sure.
like
It's just
like
that
a
we've
daily
created.
work.
yeah.
You
We've
know?
created a discipline. Like I have a discipline. Like I get
Yeah.
up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and like I go to the gym. And
Yeah.
Not at 3. I do my prayers and meditation.
Yeah.
first, but how does it go again, Shane?
I get up at 3 a.m., do my meditation, prayers and meditations, breakfast by 4, hit the gym 4:30. I'm back home by 7. I kiss my kids and I go to work for 13 hours.
Yeah.
Your parents must be proud.
They are. They're super proud, and it's so cool because they come to most of my races, and just to have their support there. And the thing is once you get to where you want to be, if the people around you aren't the right people, you're not going to enjoy it. And I just have really great people around me right now, and I'm so grateful for that because it's such a big part of your fulfillment.
That's true.
You know, and it's funny because when I told them like, hey, I want to go try to be a NASCAR driver, they're like, it's gonna be really hard, right? And I was like, yeah, yeah. What do you mean? I'm like, now I look back, I'm like, if I only knew how hard it was, I don't know if I would have done it. I honestly don't think I would have. Like, I'm happy I didn't know how difficult it was going to be. But like you said before, like the person you turn into through all the pain and the struggle. And I do think, I hate that it's that way, but I do think the most growth in life is built through pain and built through struggle. And I think the biggest misconception with like confidence and self-belief though is that people just have it or they don't. And that's not the case. It is a skill. It is a skill that you have to build, just like working out. You can build a muscle. If you don't continue to work out that muscle, you're going to lose it. And that's why, I continue to read every day. I continue to meditate every day. I continue to work out every day. I continue to spend time in nature every day. Like, I know through going through pain what I need to do to keep me mentally clear-headed. And if I don't continue to do those things, it's easy to slip back down again. And so it's all those mundane little tasks that you don't think really matter, but they do because they add up, and the consistency of it and the longevity of it is required to get you to where you want to be.
I had a stepdad when I was in my active addiction, my mom's husband. And I was mean to this man. I was mean to him. Oh, he doesn't get me crying again, bro. And then he has an air conditioning business back home. And I was mean to this man. Mean. And one day he called me on my phone when I said looking for a job. He said, Kyle, how the job hunting doing? I said, not good, not good. And I was surprised he even didn't call me, bro, for how I treated him. He said, you know what, I get an idea. I said, what's your idea? He get one brother that they have half this business, air conditioning. So he said, you know what, I talked to my brother and we're going to give you a chance, bro, for work. And I said, you for real? It's the last person I thought would ever help me, bro. So he took me to his brother, introduced me to him, and I could sense him that the brother never liked me, bro. Prison, I could sense things. And then I know I got the job because of his brother. And I don't know nothing about AC. I don't know anything. I never have a job in my life because I was on a golf course my whole life. Then I got been bad, and in prison, and now I'm free. My first job. Yeah, and was rough. And then my friend Sammy, he live over there. He speak to kids too. He speak about MS, not to give up. So one day, that's who got me into my first school. He invite me, Kyle, I come with me. I said, well, we're going to school. I'm coming to school. I talk to kids. I said, what you talk about? He said, I talk about MS, my disease, and I remind the kids not to give up. I said, nah. I'm like, go, bro. I good, bro. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about anyway? Tell him how you golf with Tiger. Tell him you was good. Tell him you got bad. Tell him you're in prison. Tell him you're free. I said, nah. And I'm like, come on, bro. When is the school? Monday. It's coming up Monday. What? Okay, you know what then? We go. So he showed me a picture of my mug shot. I never seen my mug shot yet. He showed to me, look at your picture. He saw your picture. And look, oh, just came out of prison. I look at him. Oh, I try to hide him and also nobody see. I'm so ashamed. And look at him again. Yeah, I come back. He said, where you going? I'm going to Office Max on quick one. For what? I'm going to make a poster, bro, of my mug shot. Oh, you crazy. For what? Show the kids. I'm going to show the kids, bro. What? Okay, I go Office Max, make a poster. Bah, right here, my poster. I go Ace Hardware. I go get me some chains. And I had an idea, that's why. You can tell a kid about bad decisions, bad choices. But I need to show them what happens after the bad choice. So we went to the first school, 2,000 kids. We checked, my friend testing out the audio microphone. I go outside of the gym, one old gym in Hawaii. I close the door on the outside of the gym, and I kick the door from the outside. Bah! And I open the door. I tell my friend, what? That was loud. He said, bro, what you doing? Cause he said it was loud. Yeah, it was loud. I got an idea. What's the idea? You see in my little bag right here, I made shackles, bro, and my handcuffs in there. You introduce me to these kids, I'm going to be on the other side of the door, bro, without my shirt, barefooted, in chains, bro. You for real? I said, for real. Where the security? Security, check on. Security of the school come. I said, I got an idea. Standing me on the outside of this door. And when I kick this door 10 times, open the door, bro. That's all you got to do. And you can walk behind me if you like. Oh, skeptical. Okay. So on the other side of the door, 2,000 kids in this gym. 2,000 of them. I stand on the other side, bareback, no more slippers, barefooted, with chains, bro. On my feet, on my hands, on chains. My friend Sammy talking to the kids. Oh, my friend Kyle, I brought him to talk to you guys. But before he come out, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. This guy, bro, he's on hammer. In Hawaii, hammer is good. You like to be on hammer in Hawaii. Yeah, somebody said, oh, Chad is on hammer. Oh, Chad, you on hammer, bro. It's on hammer, bro. That's good. Oh, my friend Kyle is on hammer, bro, you guys. This guy, he golfed against Tiger Woods. He is a Spartan race winner, marathon runner, triathlons, paddle the Molokai Channel. Everybody welcome my friend Kyle. Once I hear the kids clapping, I kick on that door, bro, on the other side of the gym. Bah, bah, bah. Because in prison, if you like no more toilet paper, seizure, you kick the door. I want good door kicker, bro. I had bad experience on my resume. Door kicker, check. I kick the door 10 times as hard as I can. Every time I kick in the door, emotions flooding through my body, bro. Each kick, I ain't kicking the door. Boom. I wasn't outside the gym of on school. I was back in the cell, bro, kicking the door. Bah, bah. I thought, look at that guy now. Open the door, cuz. He can open the door. Boom, and walk in. Oh, bro, my whole just took me. I took myself there, bro. Yeah. So when I walk into this gym, you could hear one pin drop. 2,000 kids, bro. They never expect to see what they saw. Yeah. And I wanted to do that to show them on visual on the results of a bad choice. But I think if I can do this and experience this feeling for help 2,000 kids, I do that all day, bro.
All these amazing things started happening in my life. You know, like I kind of call it the 3 C's. You know, commitment is like the hardest part of this sobriety thing, right? Like, but what I started to understand was that addicts or alcoholics in action, active alcoholics, nobody can kind of draw this correlation unless you've been there, but you are the most committed, dedicated, loyal motherfucker on the planet. Like, you will do anything. You will rob, you will steal, you will commit crime, you will cross everyone and anyone and do other funky shit to get that next one. Anything. You are willing and ready to just do anything it takes
to get what you want. Now you strip away the drugs and the alcohol, that loyalty, that commitment, that dedication, that like honor to the thing that you want still is there. You know how to do that, right? And so not all alcoholics that get sober are able to channel that in a positive way, but definitely a lot of them, right? Like there are a lot of like unbelievably successful people in recovery.
Yes.
Like unbelievably doing extraordinary things. So I just like, I kind of clicked in on that, not knowing that that was a thing, but I just figured out that like the commitment piece is the hardest part, but I'm good at committing. And then what I learned about commitment is like you do the same thing over and over again, day in and day out, you build confidence, right? Like commitment breeds confidence. And you can look at it and say, oh, you know, you eat the same breakfast, you eat the same lunch, you eat the same dinner, you train, you go to the gym, you know, you go to bed at the same time, you wake up at the same time. Like some people would be like, that's kind of boring. That's kind of robotic. And I'm like, no, I get better and better every fucking time. Like it is not the same. Like it is different. Like every time I reflect back doing the same exact thing, I'm like, there's growth here. There's growth here. There's growth here. Anybody who's great at anything is a commitment assassin. Mm-hmm. Anybody, because that's what it takes. So commitment breeds confidence. Confidence ultimately breeds courage, you know? And like, you know, they write books about people with courage, right? Like courage is like the difference between the good and the great. You know, it's just like how willing are you to believe in yourself? And I learned all of that in Muay Thai and in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Like I really did, you know, and I owe my life to it, right? And so when I was 25 or 26, I decided I was going to go back to school. And I went to school to learn to, you know, get my chef's culinary degree. And while I was there, Cornell was putting together a program with my culinary school for the restaurant management program that they have at Cornell, which is the best hospitality program in the country, arguably in the world. And at that point, I kind of knew that I was going to be in the restaurant world, and I kind of had this dream that I was going to have my own joint. And so I did both of those programs, and I graduated when I was 28. And I was still working at Frank Restaurant.
Wow.
At that point, I was married, and I was like, oh, the next step, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to open up a restaurant, you know? And I had like no fear about it, which was weird.
And by the way, for anyone that's listening, being in the restaurant business and owning your own restaurant is like, I think 5% even last in their like first year or something like that.
Yeah, 90% die within the first, 12 months. And so I came up with this idea, and I wrote a business plan about it. I called it the Meatball Shop, and I put a business plan in front of every single regular that came into that restaurant. And it was a super regular spot. And these dudes and gals have seen me go from this crazy 20-year-old kid to dark 23-year-old kid to getting his shit together, to getting married, to going back to school. So I was there for 8 years, you know, and these people would come in there 2, 3, 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And they watched me turn into this person. And 14 of them wrote me a check for $25,000 each.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So they funded my first restaurant. And I opened up a restaurant right in the neighborhood that I caused the most trouble in, right in the center of the Lower East Side. And small little joint, called the Meatball Shop, and we sold meatballs and sides, you know, like that was our thing. And we fucking crushed it. It was crazy. Like we thought we were going to do like about $1 million in our first year, and we did 4 million. Wow. We paid back our investors in 6 months. And one of those investors was like, okay, you guys are onto something. He was like, my bank account's your bank account. Go for it. Like, and you want to open up 5, 10 more of these things, like I commit. And Daniel and I looked at each other and we were like, oh shit, this is real, right? Like we were cooking meatballs on Jay Leno, Jimmy Fallon, Chelsea
Oh my
Handler.
gosh.
I mean, Good Morning America multiple times, the Today Show. Like it was nuts. It was nuts. And I'm just here to say, I'm not saying it for like
sure.
You know, I'm saying it like this shit is possible. This shit is possible from a dude who was seconds away from death through heroin and spent 10 years abusing my body and feeling like that I was useless and a piece of shit and no one's business. And you know, to like this dude who like committed to just one fucking thing. I committed to one fucking thing a day at a time. And I was able to just build this thing. And so we opened up 5 more of these things over the next few years. And
all in New York?
All in New York. And then I wanted to like, you know, I wanted to reap some of the benefits. And I put $20,000 of my own money into this thing. That was like all I had, you know. And I was like, I want to sell some of my equity so I can see if I can open up another one of these restaurants. And Daniel and I were kind of bumping heads on where to take it out of market. And, you know, we had a massive offer to buy the company, and it was going to change my life like in an unbelievably drastic way. And I couldn't convince him and the other guys to do it. So I was like, all right, let me go see if I can crank one of these things out.
And another funny thing
solo.
is people, and this
so
happens to me quite a bit. I don't care to just film in public, and some people love it. They want to know more. You know, I had a guy who was like, "What are you doing? You just think it's so cool." And then you have women who laugh and giggle, and it's like, are you that uncomfortable right now that I'm willing to do this? And you clearly never would be, just with the way you're acting right now, that you have to just, that's your reaction. You have to like laugh and like snark at me because this makes you so, it's mind blowing, especially in today's world. But you get to a point, and this is what I learned, is that number one, this has nothing to do with me. For so long, I took it so personal.
Totally.
And I think
we think it's always about us.
We do. We think it's always about us when it's not.
Yeah.
2, it's not that serious.
Yep.
3, I'm not that important.
Yep.
And 4, it's projection.
Yes.
You know, I had a therapist who saved my life. But when I went to outpatient, this 3-month outpatient, when I got sober this last time, I always say I wish I could, you know, put her in my back pocket because she was just the best. But a room full of addicts, of course, at least 15 of us, and this was our first day. And she says, she's asking all of us as a group, what does an addict look like to you? Everybody's raising their hand, you know, bad hygiene, maybe no teeth or dirty, whatever. And then the therapist goes, you know what an addict looks like to me? She goes, and she points to me. And of course I'm sitting there with like my makeup done.
Yeah.
And I'm so appalled and offended. And she goes, people like Abby are the ones who die. And I'm like so taken back. I'm like ready to, I'm like mad. She's like, you think you're so slick getting over on everybody. You know, you don't look like you do drugs. You definitely don't look like a heroin addict. I used to have cops say that too. Like, oh, she must be a newly, they would just say terrible shit to me. But she's like, you think you're getting over on people? You're only screwing yourself. Everybody else is still going to live their lives. You can fool them and they can think that you're doing great. That's not going to hurt them. It's hurting you. And she's like, and you're the ones we bury every day because they don't get help.
Totally.
And, you know, now, of course, it's not just, you know, but it was such a point that, anyway, that woman ended up absolutely like smashing me to the ground in the best way possible, then building me up into something substantial.
Well, this is my best friend. This is my number one cheerleader. She makes me the most confident like man in the world.
Good for you.
It's because of her, right?
Good for you. Wow.
It is. It's incredible. So I'm never afraid of her because we communicate so well and so often. And she does such a good job at like building my confidence, but she also does a really good job that if we're out in public and, you know, I say something or I do something, she's on my side 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And then maybe sometimes it wasn't like the right thing to say, or I said the wrong, like I wasn't insensitive to something that I didn't know.
She'll check your ass at home.
Check me at home, right? That's like,
Never
hey,
in front of someone.
Yeah,
Never.
never. My
Never.
wife's the
Never.
same.
Yours
Like
to
that.
match.
All
Yeah.
my wife
Shoot.
has to do is give me the look, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Time
my
to shut
bad.
up.
Yep.
Wow, good for you,
But
man.
that's I think the best marriage advice is like over communicate. You can never ever over communicate. It's like if something's bothering me or him, we talk about it right then and there. And it's done.
I am so grateful for that woman.
Yeah.
Because right after that, she went to my family.
Yeah.
And gathered everyone up again, and they did an intervention. And I was at a low rock bottom. I'm probably 210 pounds now. I was probably like 160, 65. I wasn't doing well at all.
Yeah.
However, I was always showing up at work somehow, some way. My job was the one and only thing that I had left, and I kept justifying my usage with my job.
And
It's
they
like, no,
never
it's weird.
noticed, huh?
Well, one time I left. I had to take a leave of absence, and they knew I was going.
Where were you at this point, at this time? And when you on your Miami trip?
I was at a startup ad tech company. I get sober 6.5 years ago. Probably 2 years into sobriety, I get a job at Google. And I land the job of my dreams. But sorry, just to kind of go back a little bit, the transition. I get interventioned. I don't go to rehab. And I go to meetings right away. I get a sponsor. This guy I kind of knew, but I knew I needed to switch up my sponsor from the last time I was sober. I needed to try something different. And I had an urge to use at 20 days sober this time. And I'll never forget it. I was walking with my wife at the time. We were leaving my apartment, getting on the elevator, and I said, honey, if we walk out that door, I'm going to get high. I want to get high right now. I want to get high. She said, well, what do they teach you in the meetings? What are you supposed to do? I appreciate your honesty, but I said, call my sponsor. She goes, get your sponsor's number out. Like, I needed her to hold me accountable. And I needed to tell someone. And it was the first time I actually made a phone call when I had the urge. It was the first time I actually did it. Shit didn't have to hit the fan. I took the action, took accountability of the situation, and called my sponsor. My sponsor picks up Sunday night, 7 p.m. He's sitting down with his family at dinner, 10 blocks away in Manhattan. It's like 5-10 minute drive away. And he's like, where are you? I'm at home. Go to the Starbucks on the corner, have your wife walk you down there and wait with you. I will be there in 15 minutes, and we're going to sit together. He comes, relieves my wife. He sits with me like 7 o'clock at night all the way until 1 o'clock in the morning. We went to the diner after it and waited for the obsession for that day to be lifted, and it was. Then the next day, he went with me to a meeting, sat in the meeting with me, made sure I got my hand up, said what was going on. I, to this day, have not had another urge since that day.
Nice.
Wow.
And I couldn't fathom, once I'm locked in and I make up that decision, this too shall pass, right?
Right.
I didn't understand that. I thought I had to act on that immediately and get high to relieve it. And I didn't have to do that.
Those things that are making the change in my life. Sorry, I get emotional.
That's not.
No.
It's those things that make me want to get up. You know, I got into California and a couple of thoughts had popped into my head. And I was battling those thoughts. I'm like, Renee, don't go the left side. Don't go and that still happens to me. You know, it happens to people with 20 years at times. And it was the little things. And then that's why I contacted Catherine. I said, this is what I have to do in California. This podcast is what I have to do in California. This is going to help my sobriety. Nice. And that's how this all happened. Is because you talk about hope. It's tattooed on me as well. You talk about the hope, and the hope is everything. It's everything.
Everything.
Well, that's what this says. Faith, hope, and freedom. It's my charity. If you have faith, there is hope and freedom from what binds you.
Oh my God, I love
that. And that for me is what this is about. If we don't share it, then you're selfish. They say be selfish, but not with your word. You're like, this part of it, don't be selfish. Spread as much love and hope as you can. Because hope is a beautiful thing.
It's what people need. It's that glimmer of hope to hang on.
Hope is beautiful.
For sure.
And people don't understand what hope is. Like my son, you know, people are like, oh, I hope that happens to me. I hope that happens. No, you're living in the hope. Live in the hope. You know what I mean? Because if that don't happen, something else will because of your hope, because of your faith that you put behind it. And it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be a God thing for some people, to each his own. But you still have to have hope and faith in something.
But you have to work too. You just
almost definitely.
You can't sit in bed and.
No, I tried that one.
Yeah, me too.
For a really long time.
I mean, where I have to constantly where I want to be. I want to be with my feet kicked up in bed, having whatever I want to eat, and watching whatever show I want to watch.
Right?
That's
In
where
Bali.
I live.
In Bali, like this.
Chilling. No worries.
Exactly. No worries at all.
Check just shows up in the mail all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yep. Reality TV is on today. It's Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah.
Like it's just amazing, but you have to live in the hope. You have to live in the promise. something good will come no matter what. As long as you're putting good out there,
Of course.
I think it finds its way back to you.
But not only that, but what you're doing and what you just said, like, this is an act of service that you're doing. Not only are you coming out of your way because you're a busy lady, you have things to do, you're with your family as well, but you're sharing your story. You're sharing your experience, strength, and hope with others that are going to hear you, because when you do see you on television, you have this facade of a strong, independent woman that is not scared of anything, and she is a force to be reckoned with, which you are. However,
I'm
you
also
being
scared.
exactly and you being vulnerable and having, like, even me sitting across from you today, this is what it's about. Because looking at you, watching you from the start of Mob Wives, you know, I would never think that you're also, I relate to you now on another level because I get what you struggle with.
Right.
So not only do I have that personal connection with you, but everybody else at home that got to see your journey through, like, the television shows to your other, from your book launches to just your kind of growth, are like, damn, you know what? She's actually human.
I was in LA with a few people. Somebody had overdosed up there. The way those operators speak to you when they find out it's an overdose is wild. I have never been more disrespected by somebody, like, with higher authority than me like that. Like, even when I was drinking and getting in trouble with the police, they never spoke to me like that. And it's because there's so many. Like, the fact that their drive time pretty much is like 2 minutes from your call. They're out there within 2 minutes coming to look for you, and because of how bad it is up there, and sometimes they don't even respond. Like, unless I had to scream at, like, the operator and say, like, this person's literally dead and blue right now. If you don't get somebody here, I'm going to lose them. And, like, you don't want to deal with me, like, having, like, a breakdown. Like, I was just screaming at them, trying to just do whatever I could to get them to, like, get there. And they finally showed up, and the person was fine. They woke up way before somebody finally got us Narcan. And it's just sad. Like, all of it's so sad. The way the police, the way that everybody just, like, in that type of corporation really cares about it or deals with it. It's disgusting. I know there are some good people. Like, you do have the really good ones that are out there and, like, calm and talking you through it. But, like, you don't know these people and just automatically judging them for, like, using fentanyl. They may not have even used fentanyl and they're overdosing.
Right.
Like, it's everywhere. Like, I remember hearing about the dollar bills where, like, people were picking up dollar bills. But you're right with, like, them just doing it in front of the police. That's all I've really seen in Santa Ana. Like, that's where I was mainly, like, on Harbor Street. Do you know where, like, the McDonald's in Santa Ana is, or the Starbucks? Yeah. So, like, right there, it's like I've seen people nodding off. I've seen people dead. And the police just drive by.
Dude, there's right where my old apartments are, it's right by a 7-Eleven, and people just, like, pick up right there. It's right off of you take Dyer, and you, like, there's a bar right off the, like, on the left hand side. You keep going straight, whatever, gas station, little 7-Eleven, and broad daylight, everything, like, business as usual. But I think too, like, a big one for me is kind of like, breaking the stigma of having the issue. Is a lot of people look down upon it, or at least that's why I was, like, didn't want to vocalize me working a program, having to get sober, because it was just never really talked about, and it was always looked at more so kind of like as a weakness, as like, oh, you should just stop doing something if there's bad consequences, you know. And then I didn't want to bring, like, the shame onto my parents, this, that, and the other, the lies that we tell ourselves. And I think it's really important because people are dying, and there's no shame in getting better. At all.
Like, I had to get past that with, and I think that's why I'm able to do everything I'm doing with my sobriety right now. I had to get past it's okay to get help. With my ex, like, without my whole relationship with that, I had to realize, like, it's okay to get help. Like, it's fine. You're gonna get worse if not. And it was really weird because, like, when I went to detox and I was so open about, like, my fentanyl addiction and telling my story and just, like, everything about fentanyl, like, everything I know about it too. Like, the nurses were just like, how are you so open about this? I'm like, because if nobody knows, what are we gonna do? There's nowhere from like what I've seen online, there's nowhere to go from like the information we have.
Really?
There's not enough scientific study on it, which is also really, really awful. And I feel like if there would be a lot of other ways to help with it. What else are we gonna do with this information, and how do we make it better with this type of information?
Right.
And I feel like it's better to hear like coming from an addict who's sober, or even just an addict who's using, because I have seen some addicts who are on TikTok, like there'll go people who will go interview them, and they'll talk about like opiate and fentanyl addiction and just be like, I don't want to be like this isn't what anybody wants. Like none of us want to sit like this and still be here, but nobody knows how to help because it's not talked about enough, and everybody's scared to get help. I wish there was more ways like to get it out there that like it's okay to be a fentanyl addict. It's like the thing now.
But it's not even the fentanyl. It's more like you said. You started because of
just
abuse.
That's
mental health stuff. So I mean, where was the outlet there? Let's even start to look at that. Where was that outlet to go to a nurse or to go to a counselor or a guidance counselor?
Exactly. Like,
or your mom or your dad or someone. I mean.
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's so important for like
and
somebody
the peer
like
pressure.
Yourself being this young and having the courage to speak on a platform like ours, because that's really what our mission is, you know, to spread the message of hope, that like help is available, help is out there, and all you have to do is pick up the phone and reach out, because you're dying inside. And that's usually why you're using in the first place, is because there's some emotional toll that is going on within you, whether it's from an experience that you had from like a relationship or some internal balance, like drama that is going within your head, that you need some type of outlet. And it's knowing that you're not alone, because usually when we're in there, we think that no one can understand, no one can relate, and you'd rather be miserable inside.
And
it
seems easier at the time.
And hearing like your story and to know kind of what you've had to experience to get to even where you're at today is going to for sure help a ton of kids your age, because that's what they need to hear. They need to hear
100%.
from somebody that they can relate 100%.
To. I'm sorry to say this.
Why are you sorry?
I never give suggestions or tell people what to do, but I want to tell you what you need to stay in this.
Yeah.
You need to help people. You need to get your word out. You need to somehow go to schools. You need to give in your time. That's going to keep you
sober and alive.
You need to show up to our Recover Out Loud stuff. You need to start recovering out loud with us.
Yeah, we're in your life, man. We're in your life. You know what I'm saying? You're young. You can be proud of what you did. I'm so happy for you. And you could really change lives out there, just like you said. I think there's a pocket right now, is what I was saying before. I think that people that are using fentanyl.
You're not doing very good with your moving around.
I think that people that are using fentanyl and dying and coming back from life and being revived, like she said, is happening. That's happening now. Those people haven't, say, graduated to sobriety long term yet.
Yeah, right.
You know, so we're in like a middle of ground where these people are trying to get sober. You're trying to talk to a therapist about what happened. They're like, whoa, that's crazy. That's new to me. You know, so it's a minute before someone's going to be there like her that could say, whoa, I know, but here's what I did for that. Like, we're in a vacuum right now, it seems. That's just what I'm feeling right now.
I kind of see it too, because like, I mean, the girls that, I'm not really supposed to talk about them, but the girls I went to rehab with, like, it was, there was only like one other girl that was addicted to fentanyl also, and it was really, really hard to get through to her. Like, she was open about it, but not enough. And like, she had told me like people have been rude to her, and there's nobody to talk to. I talked to one therapist that's not in addiction medicine once I got out of rehab, and I told her like I would really like to talk about my fentanyl addiction and like this stuff, like, or why I'm using drugs, like the stuff that's causing my addiction.
Yeah.
And she didn't even know how to go about it because like drugs were involved. And when I was in addiction medicine for like detox and everything, when I was talking to those nurses, they were begging me to go to nursing school for addiction medicine also and do stuff like that, because like my main goal for life is I want to open a domestic violence shelter for like one for women and then one for men, because it happens to everybody obviously. And I didn't have that when I really wish I did. but just like one step to help people, like that's really my main goal, like that. But getting into addiction medicine and like specializing in that, I think it's really important for a lot of people because nobody really does. Nobody wants to. I feel like people are super scared of just alcoholism and drug addiction and everything that comes with it, and nobody wants to learn about it and learn how to help people because like for some reason people see us as so much more damaged than like anybody who's also damaged. Like I don't know, it's like you can't compare damage with people.
Well, and I think it couldn't be more further from the truth, because at least people that are actually or at least that I know of or that have encountered, ones that are either been to treatment or actively working a program. You mentioned you're working the 4th step. We're working on our recovery and being a better human on a daily basis. It's a daily reprieve where I have a lot of normie people that I've encountered, and they have internal trauma that they continuously don't want to even sort through. And it seeps into business and relationships, and they don't have the toolbox that we learn when we're in treatment and working a 12-step program that we get to fall back on and have self-accountability and clear the wreckage of our past and learn a lot of things about our like own personal character defects so that we don't hopefully spill them into further relationships. So it's like,
or our life.
100%. So it's like, I look at it where it's people that are getting better daily as opposed to just sitting in madness and not knowing what to do with any type of emotion or any type of feeling, where everyone, I think, would benefit from doing a 12-step program.
I do too.
Everybody.
For
I
sure.
do too, because I'm like on the first part of my 4th step, like and it's like resentments, and even just like realizing how many people that I have like just some type of resentment towards. That's crazy, right? And it really, just even knowing, like seeing how quickly I wrote their names down, like that really clearly does affect me that much.
For sure.
And I think it's good for everybody to work something like that, because like you were saying, like there's just so much, we focus on so much of like our defects and all of the things that we're doing that have like caused harm or may cause harm, and we're bettering ourselves this entire time. I don't know, there's so many people I think would benefit from it.
Everybody, there's not a single person on this planet that couldn't benefit from doing the 12 steps.
Number one, there's no blueprint for walking away from that life and getting away with it. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I never sold my former associates short. I mean, they're very capable. But I believe that God had a different plan and a purpose for me, and he's made that very evident. And one example that kind of stands out to everybody, Fortune magazine, 1986, wrote a huge article, 50 biggest and most powerful mob bosses in the country. And it was half the magazine. They featured 6 of us. I was one of the 6. They actually had a chart with the 50 of us on there according to rank and wealth and power. So I'm number 18 on the list, the youngest guy on the list. And I always say, how did they make a list like that? They didn't ask for our tax returns. It was ridiculous, right? Just sold a lot of magazines. But here's what's not ridiculous about the list. Out of that list of 50, some 30-odd years later, 48 of them are dead. Number 49 is, I believe, might be just getting out of prison. He's in his 90s. And I'm here to talk about it. So to say that God had his hand in it is an understatement, because I didn't know how it was going to turn out. You know, there was a contract on my life, and the FBI came in. You're a dead man anyway. You know, your father turned against you. I mean, I had everything that you can imagine. So I attribute a lot of this to my wife, who I know prayed for me. My mother-in-law prayed for me. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to move forward on this, see what happens. And here I am. You know, I'm 73 years old, so whatever happens now, it's a bonus. But you know, there's no question, and that's what my ministry has been about. It's been about encouraging people, because I tell, listen, at one time I might have been the worst guy in the room. You know, I mean, you live that life every single day. You're living in violation of both God's laws and the laws of man.
Routinely reported that way in the mainstream media. A Xanax laced with fentanyl, an OxyContin laced with fentanyl. There's a binding agent in fentanyl. Yeah. And on the dark web right now, it's progressed so bad that they're not even advertising. They're openly advertising, this is Xanax with fentanyl. This is Percocet with fentanyl. because people who are addicts are now seeking out fentanyl because of their addiction, and they can't satisfy it with an OxyContin anymore. They can't satisfy it with heroin anymore. It's got to be something that's powerful enough to deal with their addiction issues.
I mean, I think that's also a huge factor too, is our mainstream media, these headlines that are continuously coming out and we're seeing, makes it to the general public that aren't going to do their, show up to town halls and either know somebody, just think like, oh, poor addict, because you see a headline saying somebody had died from taking illicit fentanyl.
It's over 99% is, I'm going to round off to 100. 100%. If you're not getting it prescribed by a doctor, issued by a pharmacy, by a pharmacist,
by
in
a
a
U.S.
pill,
pharmacist,
it is, let's just call it what it is. It's fentanyl. It is fentanyl. There's no, there's no delivery service that drops off legitimate narcotics. Well, actually, Amazon does now, so you can't actually get them through a pharmacy.
Narcotics?
Not narcotics, but prescriptions.
Yeah.
But you can't get OxyContin that way, or Percocet, or some of these drugs. It is 100% going to be fentanyl. Now if you know that, and we can get that message out to parents, their kids, your buddy is not selling you a Xanax, right, or an Adderall. It is fentanyl.
So there's obviously a point to which these drugs can push past it. And I think that the company Alkermes, who makes Vivitrol, I suggested to them that they really should start changing the formula and making it more powerful, because when that came out, there was no fentanyl happening like this.
Yeah.
And I think they need to change it, the formula, make it stronger, last longer, because some people, they metabolize it too fast. And you're in the 3rd or 4th week, and now I'm giving people naloxone pills to take every day to boost up the level. And so I think that you're right. It could, but come on, if you're have someone in your family and they're out at night and they have an opiate addiction, how do you even sleep?
You can't.
If they have Vivitrol in their system, at least you feel like there's some protective mechanism there,
At least there's a chance.
Yeah.
Because
So what's the other half of this? The other half is mental health.
Of course.
So how do we prevent? I mean, that's a tough. How do we prevent this? I mean, people are predisposed. Different demographics. How do we prevent that with mental health? Like there's an epidemic in mental health going on right now in this country. 100%. That's on the rise. The opiate epidemic, everything is on the rise. And the mental health is driving the use of these pills, I would think, or a big proponent of it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, and that's why if you're having symptoms of a mental health issue, there's stigma with that, obviously, too.
Yeah.
And so you have to go talk to a doctor, or reach out. Even if you don't have a psychiatrist, talk to your primary care doctor. They'll steward you and help you get to someone who can help you.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore these conditions and hope they just go away, because they don't go away.
No, they don't. And I think that one, I do believe I was predisposed to addiction, and two, I truly believe that I have ADD. I'm not sure if I have the H, because I never was like the kid jumping off the wall, but like I just couldn't focus. And what happened for me is that, marijuana was great. I had fun, but I never really got addicted to it. I drank, but I don't really ever consider myself like an alcoholic. Do I think I can drink and not do other stuff? No. But when I did methamphetamines the first time, when I did that first line, little tiny, changed my life. I could think, I could slow down, I could do my homework. I wasn't lazy. I could clean my room. And so that drug, I'm not kidding you, it hijacked me on the very first one.
I could prove that I am officially the one that has been to such hell on earth and been to fucking hell and back that anybody can recover, whether it's a dry rotted rubber band of a legs or just so much alcohol abuse or just dealing with so much drama. Steve-O would always tell me, dude, stay sober and you'll see really neat things happen. And when I was sober, nothing neat was happening because I was obligated by court to do AA meetings all day, go do neurofeedback for $800 a week, and then therapist, doctors. My whole day consists of sobriety and doctors and treatment, and nothing neat was happening. Yeah. Now that I'm not obligated to do that, and I'm skating again, I'm stretching again, I'm saying hi to old friends, we're working on new music together, and we're working on new show ideas, and now I get it. Now I'm like, yeah, neat things are happening. And I could say I've been to probably over 20 treatment centers. Some of them are great, some of them, but you have to want to go in.
Yeah.
You can't have your parents force you in because, and you can't have your, you have to want to go.
No.
If anybody's dragging you there against your will, it's not going to work.
I agree.
And also, you, with me, I could tell everybody this. I figured it out. I needed structure. Danny taught me structure.
There you go.
You have to wake up and have something to do. We walk the dogs. She stretches me for an hour. I look for a skate spot. I can't leave unless I get a skate trick on film. We go home. We cook dinner. I either paint or write or whatever it is that I do.
Mhm.
It's a structured schedule.
100%.
Before, I would wake up with nothing to do. I would look across the street, see an Irish pub, and say, that looks like fun. And I would do that all day and all day.
And that was fun for a little while.
And I had no 9-to-5 job, and I had no boss tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So if the night was fun, and I would keep it going until the sun came up. I need to know that I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock at night. And, you know, when she's like, I don't care if you're with Billy Idol or Iggy Pop and you guys you're going to bed at 10. I'm like, well, we actually are with Billy Idol in Calgary, Canada right now. Nope, we're going to bed at 10 because that's the rules. I'm like, and it
Smart,
really works.
And it works.